been many promising developments in the past year that bode well for making the big change that I argue for in the body toxic, and that is reforming our country's badly outmoded federal laws that govern the toxic chemicals that are used in our everyday products. As I began to dig around, I soon learned that the vast majority of the chemicals that make our lives so convenient have not been safety tested, because our badly outmoded toxics laws put commerce before consumers, and they don't protect the public. And as I thought about this, I realized that this was the story that I wanted to tell in a book. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm talking about and about why I think we need to be concerned. Let's start with the can of soup or the diet soda that you consumed today or yesterday or last week. The inside of the can is coated with an estrogen-mimicking chemical that's been in the news lately. It's called bisphenol A, or BPA. BPA also, and perhaps most famously, is in polycarbonate baby bottles and sport water bottles. And it was in the lining of aluminum SIG brand water bottles until the company switched the formulas of those linings in August of 2008. SIG was not transparent about this information, and it's paying a high price for its secrecy, and I'll talk about that situation in just a few more minutes. The FDA is now in the process of reevaluating the safety of BPA, and the FDA says it's going to be done with that safety assessment by November 30th of this year. But while the FDA has been pondering the safety of BPA, and this has been going on for several years now, 2 states, 1 city, 3 counties in the entire country of Canada have already instituted bans. And in animal studies, it causes breast and prostate cancer, diabetes, hyperactivity, and other serious disorders. And we know from the work that the CDC does with biomonitoring that 9 out of 10 Americans are exposed to this chemical. That microwave popcorn snack you munch at work and feed your kids, the inside of the package is coated with a grease-resistant chemical coating that breaks down into a highly persistent chemical called perfluorooctanoic acid, or PFOA. The Environmental Protection Agency is debating whether to officially describe PFOA as likely to cause cancer in humans. The CDC reports that 98% of the US population is exposed, and much of our exposures seem to be coming from food wrappers, such as microwave popcorn bags, and from pizza boxes and fast food wrappers and all manner of things that would be grease resistant. That TV you sit in front of when you're not reading books that you purchased here at Changing Hands, it's probably made with a neurotoxic flame retardant that can affect normal thyroid development. These flame retardants are showing up in breast milk of American moms at rates that are about 100 times the average of what is found in European studies. And that makes sense because we've used so much more of this chemical in our country than in other places in the world. So I could go on about more commonly used chemicals, and I often do, so you probably don't want to sit next to me at a dinner party. But I think you're beginning to get the picture. Every one of us has traces of toxic chemicals in our bodies, and much of it is coming from our everyday stuff. And I might add that these chemicals cross the placenta so that a developing baby receives his or her first exposures in the womb. In fact, it's very cruel and creepy, but a mom's chemical load will decrease during pregnancy and breastfeeding because she's essentially mainlining the pollutants in her body straight into her child. So the evidence is only getting stronger that hormone-disrupting chemicals are a health threat. And earlier this summer, a group of doctors known as the Endocrine Society did something unprecedented in this group's 93-year history. It issued a scientific statement that warned the medical community and policymakers about chemicals such as bisphenol A. The Endocrine Society concluded that the evidence of adverse reproductive outcomes, such as infertility, cancers, and malformations, is strong. Now, the Endocrine Society is about as far away as you could get from a bunch of radical environmentalists and mommy bloggers, and they also said that there is mounting evidence for effects on the thyroid, brain, and obesity. And they pointed out another important concern. These chemicals not only affect the exposed individual, but they also impact generations through changes that affect gene expression.